My name is Elijah Cole. This is week 7 of FTT 100 56108. Now I will be breaking down my firearm and I will be naming the components again, but more in depth, hopefully this time. I will be explaining these particular parts and what roles they play in the cycles of operation. So, again, our firearm is clear, lock back, hand got caught in there, magazine out, slide, field stripper. With the Taurus, you don't always have to pull the trigger. I just pull the trigger because that bothers everyone. Only time you need to pull the trigger with a Taurus is when your trigger is actually active. Once you break that, you do not have to slides right off. Just for FYI. Okay, so we have our handgun breaking down. Now let's get into this upper part here. So we're going to take out this recoil spring or rod, or whatever people like to call it. We have our barrel. Now we have our slide. Now our slide is where all the magic happens with handguns. Just like with rifles, the bolt is the main guy. This is the bolt for a pistol. So we get on this side here. We have our extractor right here. Extractor right here. This is our extractor. And I used to get these mixed up, but the way that I remember is Fast and Furious. Eject your Cedo, cuz he got shot out of the car. So with that reminded me, that's what helped me be able to tell the difference between a ejector, which is this piece of metal here. Now this does have the Timney upgrade, Timney trigger in it, but honestly, yep, that piece of metal there. This is what ejects around out of the firearm. It is slightly tilted to one side. It favors a side within the frame of the firearm, and it sends around that way. While this part pulls it from the chamber. So where did I have something that can help me do this better? Where did you go? Bingo. Okay, so this is a bore sight. It's gonna help. So when a round is being stripped from the magazine, as such, it looks a little something like that, weirdly. So we're gonna put this in here. This is my work area. Okay, now that I have my firearm broken down, I will be discussing the particular parts that help with the cycles of operation. I will be naming each component that is active in each step of a cycle of operations. That is what we're going to do. So let's do it. Our first component is going to be our recoil spring. Our recoil spring is what allows the slide to excuse me. Our recoil spring is what allow our slide or our handgun in general to function. Without this recoil spring, we would not be able to feed chamber. We would not be able to unlock fire. lock, extract, eject, or cock any handgun without this particular few pieces of metal. This is extremely vital. Here, the barrel. Our barrel is a part of our locking, chambering, as well as unlocking operation steps. Our ejector, our extractor plays a part in feeding, extracting, as well as ejecting. Our ejector here plays a part in ejecting and extracting, as well as feeding by not allowing the rounds to move in an unwanted manner inside of the mag. We have our rails here. These rails also allow for your feeding to happen, your chambering to happen, as well as your locking, firing, unlocking, extracting. These, your rails, along with your recoil spring, also plays more than one role within the cycles of operation with your handgun, if you didn't think about it that way. Our magazine also plays a part within feeding. When we put the magazine in, it comes up, so we are now able to feed round after round into the chamber with our semi-automatic function. We have one more piece that we're going to discuss here, and that piece is our striker. Our striker plays a part in firing and cocking. Reason why is because this sits pretty much like this, and you know, as we pull the trigger, you have these two pieces here moving. So, you know, firing pin, of course, hits the primer, boom, ignites, as well as being the cocking mechanism until you pull the trigger, bam. First, I will be showing that my work area is clear of live ammunition. Secondly, I will be showing that the firearm as well is clear of live ammunition. Now I will be going over the 8 cycles of operations for a handgun or a rifle. Not any handgun, semi-automatic handgun or semi-automatic rifle. First, we have feeding. Our feeding source would be a magazine for this Taurus G3 XL, specifically a Pro Mag. When this has ammunition in it, you will take this mag, you will insert that mag into the firearm. After inserting that mag into the firearm, you will rack or chamber a round within the firearm that looks like this. When you pull the slide back, the slide comes behind the magazine and round that is sticking out of the magazine. As it goes forward, it will pick up the round while simultaneously getting the rim of the round behind the ejector or extractor. It's the extractor. That is the extractor. The ejector is on the other side. While the round is getting up under or behind that particular piece of metal that is here, that likes to pull the shell casing back out of the chamber, the slide goes forward. Now, as the slide is going forward, we have the next step, which is locking. So as the slide goes forward, the barrel will start to level out and close. With this barrel being closed, this is now a locked barrel. After the barrel is locked, we're going to show that we're clear again, because we do have the magazine helping us for this particular situation, but I'm going to take it out for this. So once we lock up our slide and our barrel with our round chamber. We can go to firing. Firing is the next step of this 8 steps. You will pull the trigger. Now, as we pull the trigger, we start to move the sear, the specific part that is touching onto the striker. Now, once we break through this particular wall or give this trigger the amount of pound pressure that is needed to allow that striker to go forward. Basically, it's 2 pieces of metal, one like this, and then it's going to break, boom, and that's going to let the striker go forward, right? I'm also going, when I break the firearm down, I'm going to show that so I can explain it a little better, because visually trying to explain that sometimes is tricky. So we did feeding, magazine in, boom, chambering, we did locking, firing, didn't finish. Now firing, this was when we boom, grab that trigger, we pull that back to that wall that is getting that trigger bar to touch that sear part a certain way. And once we break, we're going to send that firing pin flying forward, and we're going to listen for that sound. That was the firing pin going forward. Now, after the firing pin drops, it strikes the primer, ignites, it ignites the primer, in return, igniting the gunpowder or propellant powder, and it's sending our round down the chamber. Now, normally you're gonna keep your finger on this trigger, so we're gonna do this like it's actually cycling for real. Once you fire, this slide will start to go backwards. I'm gonna put the mag in here to help me out here. Once you fire, with your finger still on this trigger, the slide is gonna start to go back. The slide going back is unlocking and extracting and ejecting at the same time. I just went through the rest of them, didn't even notice it. However, it is, and I just reset the trigger, and I didn't want to, but I should still be able to do it. Once this comes back, it's gonna extract the shell casing, eject the shell casing. Extraction happens with this piece of metal here. It pulls back. Ejection happens with, let's see if we can get this to work. Ejection happens with this piece of metal here. So we extract it from the chamber with the piece of metal on this side. Wait, on this side, this metal right there, that's what extracts, pull it out. This ejects it, kicks it out to the side. So when you're firing and you shoot, it comes out this way. Why does it come out this way? Because this piece of metal right here pushes it out that way. That was extraction. I'm going to add in trigger reset. So after your ejection and your extraction, we have cocking. Cocking would be trigger reset on a striker, if my brain is putting this together right. So when you would fire a revolver, you would, depending on the revolver, you would actually have to cock it again. Or if you had a hammer fire, your hammer fire gun, it would shoot, boom, and it'll come back and it'll cock the hammer itself. So that's that. Striker is just the more simple version of that, I want to say. So once that happens, our slide goes back forward. The round is out. It's extracted. It's ejected. It's out of the gun. Now we're pushing a new round into the chamber. However, we are not cocking again. We just are resetting the trigger or resetting the striker. But the word is cocking for today. So we start to do this. You heard that? Did you see that? That was cocking or resetting your trigger. Once your trigger is reset, your striker is able to be fired once again. As such, Now we have a dead trigger. That's that keep tinkering, single action. I love that trigger for this Taurus. However, that is feeding, chambering, locking, firing, unlocking, ejecting, extracting, backwards, extracting, ejecting, and cocking. I also added in trigger reset to help myself out, explain it better, because I don't have a hammer fire gun. I have a striker fire gun. I will be going into hammer fire soon, though I love 2011s. Second, I will be showing you that the firearm that I'm using in today's video is clear. Mag. Clear. Now we will be going over a few different steps in cleaning our firearm. First, I will be showing you what we will be using to clean our handgun today. First, I'm going to show something that we got from school. This is a Otis cleaning kit. I would like to call this a high quality cleaning kit. I am extremely thankful for that because we're going to have to clean guns that we fire. However, I've already owned a cleaning kit. I have 2 of these, and this is what I'm going to use today because I've already been using it. I like to save things, you know, like to save. However, within this cleaning kit, we have multiple things. What I'm going to take out of here, I've already owned this. We're going to use this today. We are also going to use, man, like I said, this firearm is clean, so I don't really want to use carbon destroyer, and I really don't need to. So hopefully I don't get in trouble for not using it. Because I really don't want to use it, and I don't really need to. And I didn't get a chance to purchase me some disposable gloves. I don't have disposable gloves, but I do have some gloves to use. All right. Even though I should have already put gloves on while I was operating my firearm, because it's been sitting in the safe, just sitting there with oil on it. And oil stinks. All oil stinks. Car oil stinks the worst. All right. So we are going to start with cleaning. I guess we're going to start with the most important part, the recoil spring. I guess you could never clean this too many times, and it's also one of the most difficult to clean. A lot of people, they would just go buy another one. I actually know a lot of people that would rather buy another recoil spring instead of cleaning the one that they have. So we're going to take 2 pieces of paper towel. We're going to lay it down here. We're going to take some of this carbon destroyer. And I like to press down on my recoil spring as such and get a lot of carbon destroyer in there, because a lot of cakey stuff gets up in there. And that was the first part that I learned, that you want to kind of clean the most. So we drip a little bit of that down in there. Hopefully, oh man, I need to buy a tripod and a GoPro. Definitely need to buy a tripod and a GoPro. Definitely. So there we are. Hopefully you guys can see a little better. So, like I said, we're gonna decompress that spring. We dripped a little bit of oil down there. And we're gonna drip a little bit of oil, not oil, carbon destroyer. That's what we're using right now. We're just taking a little bit of drips down. This is the main component that you want, like super, super, super clean all of the time, is your recoil spring. You want that thing super clean all of the time. So I'm just gonna brush here real quickly. Definitely do more of a thorough cleaning when you're not doing a video for school. We're gonna get down here as well. We're gonna brush down in there. Because even though this firearm was clean after last time I used it, it still sits and cakes up oil. I still come put oil on it every now and then. I have a problem with over oiling my guns. So we're gonna press down on this spring and we're gonna scrub all around this part. This is a problem for me with the buildup. It's right there under that spot. So we're gonna scrub the best we can. I'm gonna drop a little bit of more carbon destroyer there, let it roll down. Scrub a little bit more. Just scrub a little more. Yep, nice scrubbing, nice scrubbing. I didn't scrub this much last time using the old toothbrush. There's nothing wrong with using old stuff, you know? So, ran down the old toothbrush with the scrubbing. Scrubbing looks real nice. It looks real nice. Now, one thing that I like to do after I use the carbon destroyer, I like to soak in alcohol. But since I don't have my new bottle of alcohol yet, we're just going to scrub a little extra here with a little extra carbon destroyer. Scrub down with a little bit of carbon destroyer in them little tight extra spots. All right, now we're going to call this done. We're going to wipe this down. Gonna wipe all around her. We're gonna press down on that spring, wipe all up in there. And we're gonna aim to get some extra dirt off. We're already getting oil off of there. We're gonna aim for some dirt. We got a little something there. We got a little something. Nothing crazy, but we got something worth cleaning, right? Right. We got something worth cleaning. Even if you take your rag and take your toothbrush, scrub with your little towel or your cotton swab or your rag, just to get in there, little extras. Don't hurt. These are not completely dead. We can still use these. All right. Next, we're gonna carbon destroyer our firing pin. Very important part. Carbon destroyer that. We're gonna scrub a little bit. It also does not hurt to have more than one firing pin for your firearm. It doesn't hurt to have backup parts at all. We're gonna scrub. We're gonna get into this striker sleeve that I keep pretty clean most of the time. There we go. We're gonna wipe again. Wipe. Ooh. Yo, that carbon destroyer is freaking awesome. Man, that is some good stuff. Oh boy, that is good. I've been trying to get that mark off of this firing pin for the longest and finally did it. We're gonna set that to the side. That's clean. All right, now cleaning your slide. We have a few, I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna try to get closer. All right, so we have these portholes. I find those to be perfect to drip oil or cleaner in, and that's what we're going to do, because that is pretty much the only spot that I oil on my slide is those grooves. So we're going to pour some Carbon Destroyer down in there. We're going to run that down. Even though that's not the only part you need to clean, you also want to clean the sleeve of the actual hole. You want to clean this entire internal part, but very, very important vital parts where your rails ride, the internals of here, and a very vital part, I want to say your safety plunger. But I'm gonna be dripping a little bit of drippy drip everywhere. We're giving a little drip drip session. We drip that down in there. We take our toothbrush, we come through, we agitate with the toothbrush. Depending on how dirty, you can let the Carbon Destroyer sit longer. But we're just gonna take that toothbrush and brush down in there. Now normally I would take a pick and I would come through with a pick up in here for the plunger, pick up in there again. That was done last time I cleaned this firearm, so we're not gonna do too much. I am going to take this hex key and use this hex key to ride up and down this rail to get the excess debris and Carbon Destroyer. Nothing crazy, just sliding. See, nothing crazy. We're just sliding across back and forth, and we're going to get what we're looking for. Nothing crazy. Nothing, you don't want to scratch too much. We don't want to remove any of that. Normally you'll be using a polymer or a plastic pick. I'm using the Allen key right now, just because that's what was sitting next to me, and I didn't want to open up the gun case, gun cleaning kit from school yet. All right, so now let's look at that rag from cleaning between the rails. Pretty dirty. It's pretty dirty for a so-called unshot firearm. Now, I am also going to, I'm going to take one of my bristle brushes that is of a smaller caliber, and I'm going to take this to get inside of this striker sleeve. Just to clean up around there. You can use a bristle brush and a towel. You can use, the correct thread through there. We're going to do that. I want one that's smaller than usual, so we're going to use this 22 caliber to get inside of here. Get on there, like so. And we're gonna feed that through there. I was supposed to do that a lot more evenly, or I could have cut it, because this is just a little 22 thingy. It's not that big. So I'm just gonna feed this on here real quick. I'm gonna feed this on here real fast. And we're going to clean out the backside of the slide where our striker lives. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to twist that around. Boop, 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 boop. I'm not trying to do it too perfectly because, again, firearm was already cleaned before. Twist, twist, twist around. These patches are really too big. And I don't have my scissors anymore to cut a patch, just get in there and clean that up.
That's what I'm saying.
Like so. You know, just get in there and get that little extra dirt out of there like so.
Hang on. Here we go.
We're gonna clean our barrel.
Okay. I think we're good.
We're gonna, I haven't had a chance to drip Carbon Destroyer down my barrel yet,
The same crazy wolf.
but I did clean it pretty thoroughly last time. So let's see. We're gonna drip some Carbon Destroyer down in there. It's dripping out.
That's not even a walk.
I'm gonna drip a little bit on the outside. I guess I could give her a quick scrub and dubbing. It's been a while. Scrub there. Scrub up here. Scrub around the barrel. These bottom parts like to get caked up with carbon. Around these corners as well. In here within the barrel.
Yeah, or maybe
And the locking face part of the barrel. Scrub up in there. Now I'm gonna take this
some of these look really hard to do.
off of here
Don't they get tired?
to add
Whoa, we have
this guy.
Holy dooly. That's impressive.
How do you even do that?
I use this
Have your feet
to
out
just loosen up.
Ow.
I'll use this first
What?
to just go through and loosen things up.
Ow. My groin.
After I go through a few times and I feel like things have been loosened up or coated
How would you like to save
properly,
$200 a year on your energy bill?
then I switch
Excuse me?
to
Is there someone
a
else I can
bristle brush. We're gonna switch 357 and 9 mil are not the same size. Oh, they are, but not to my liking.
Yes, Louie, I'm in here.
I'm sorry for whatever I did to upset you.
We're gonna switch this.
Sweetheart.
I don't want to use that one right now, but I can use the.
Work looking after kids. Sometimes mums
There we go.
just need 20
So we're gonna take this. We're gonna go through and scrub like so.
What is that about?
Just wanted to use that one for a demonstration.
I see.
Now I'm going to actually come in here. A little bit of drip, a little bit of drip. You don't have to do that, but I'm just doing it just to do it. And you want to twist with the barrel rifling and let your tool comes out the end. And same thing when pulling back through. And you pull through real fast. You twist
Will not.
and go down the chambering.
Okay, so he's the knight.
I mean, not down the chambering, but down the barrel threads. And then when you come out the other end,
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone knows that.
I thought you said smart people played chess.
Well, whatever you call him.
Michael Gallagher.
you give it a little wipe if you want to. A little pat, pat.
Moves by jumping.
Okay,
Oh, yes. Horses love
Yeah.
jumping.
pull it through.
Who is Castlehead?
That's the rook.
I'm going to call him Castlehead.
Fine. Castlehead moves straight like this.
Now we're gonna take a
Can't
patch.
move. This game's confusing.
Yeah, it is, Bingo. Maybe you just want to do some colouring.
No, she's on my team.
Oh, right, let's just start. There. You'll go, Bluey.
I'm gonna take another patch.
Well, there's only 2 teams, Bingo, so maybe you just watch.
Aw, don't worry, Bingo. Look.
We're gonna take this off of here.
And 2 Castleheads. And 2
Now we're gonna put
Coppermills,
this on.
And lots of prawns.
Pawns.
So this
And
can be
then
your
our
team.
plan would be to
Thanks, Louie.
feed this
Look, that's not
in the barrel and wipe out any excess junk.
Why doesn't we want to move?
Directions.
So after taking your
Because she has
cotton swab or your towel back and forth a few times after agitating with your brushes, we get a nice amount of dirt out of that barrel. We're just using the word dirt, but it's carbon. And looky there, the carbon guy. So that's that. We cleaned our barrel, we cleaned our striker and our recoil spring. Now we are going to demonstrate cleaning our frame. I'm having a brain fart right now. I'm sorry. But we're gonna clean these parts of the frame right here. Carbon likes to get caked up right there as well. We're gonna drop that there. Our frame rails, we are going to scrub the carbon from under our frame rails. Do, 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 do. Wipe our toothbrush off a little bit. So we're gonna clean off the front and back rails. Keeping these rails clean, as well as the inner rails on your slide. Well, not should I say rails, but grooves from your slide. This will keep your firearm cycling extremely nice. So we focused on cleaning these 1, 2, 3, 4. Focused on cleaning them. Me personally, cleaning anything else within this frame, I would knock the pins out and then clean the internals more. However, we are going to take our toothbrush and we are going to scrub the feeding ramp right here. This is halfway to feeding ramp, halfway to lock and block. That is Taurus's design. So we took that, we scrubbed that out with the carbon destroyer. We're gonna wipe down. We scrubbed the front and back down with our carbon destroyer. We got a nice amount. As well as your trigger bar. Your trigger bar, you can scrub that a little bit. Scrub the top and the sides of that. Wipe that. Also, you can put a little bit of carbon destroyer on the side of your rail. You know, a little bit of carbon destroyer up here. Wipe this out. Get a real nice wiping, cause I'm getting a lot of carbon from right there. A nice little scrub, rub down. Okay. Our trash. Our magazine. If this was a regular magazine, I'll pop the base plate off, put a spring out, clean the follower, clean the mag, clean the inside of the thing. However, I would have to go grab my hex key out of my range bag, take this bag apart. However, we are going to just drip a little drip, since I do not honestly feel like looking for that hex key. We're gonna clean the top of this a little bit. We're gonna clean the top of that a little bit. However, like I said, or like I stated, the base pad will come off. I will put a spring out. I will put a spring out, take the follower out, and I would clean every part of this particular piece. Now, we went through all of the parts. We went through cleaning them. Now we are going to go back over reassemble and oil. Now I will be going over reassemble and oiling. First steps first, we are going to take our recoil spring, our barrel, our striker, our upper. First, we are going to take our upper and our recoil spring, our striker. You don't want to put a lot of oil on this. Very minimal. Just enough to keep it protected from the elements. Tiny drip there. Tiny drip there. That's all enough we need. Now we're going to take this. We're going to insert this here. Take our back pad here. You're going to press down on this yellow tab. And you're going to insert your sleeve until it clicks. Like so. Our striker is back in place. We are going to take our barrel. Before we put our barrel in, we are going to slightly oil our outside of our barrel. Generous, very generous. When I say very generous, take you a cotton swab or a cleaning cloth, fold it, rub some oil on her, a few drips of oil on that nice piece of cloth there, and take that, just rub that on the outside of your barrel. I also like to do this to the inside of my slides, however, they end up getting a nice amount of oil on them from the weeks that they are put up, and I consistently oil them at the end of every week. That's a nice way to oil the outside, just to keep it a nice little coat over it. Now we're going to insert this here. I'm going to take my oil and I'm going to give it one good drip on this step here for the recoil spring. I'm going to take my recoil spring and I'm going to insert it. All right, our recoil spring fitting. That oil is where I wanted it to be. Now we're going to oil and wipe off our recoil spring one last time. We didn't put oil on our recoil spring yet, I don't believe. We're going to clean this up one more time. Clean up that recoil spring just one more time. We're going to drip some oil down there. Bang. And we're going to give it a few drops down the sideline. And this is just going to, again, help protect it from the regular natural elements and keep it lubricated and willing to function easily. All right, we have that completely back together. Now we have to oil our inner rails. You guys remember I told you about them points of, look like a little hole in the back there? That is the perfect spot. That is the perfect spot to oil, if you guys can see. So we're gonna do this here on camera. 1 drip, 2 drips, 3 drips, and let it roll down the side. Okay, we're gonna do that again. 1 drip, 2 drip, 3 drip, let it roll down the side. And that's really, not really, that's just about all of the oil that you need there. I like to take a tiny drip over the top of there just to help it match up. We take our slide back over the top. There we go. Our function check. We are good there. We are good there. Yep. Function check.